Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. May I have approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. John Akam, could you please lead us with tonight's Pledge of Allegiance?
Joe, please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Let's move forward tonight with announcements and recognitions. For announcements, Lori, could you please lead us in tonight's announcements?
Sure. We invite the community to join us on Friday, October 2nd for the Beloit Memorial High School homecoming game with Madison East. Varsity begins at 7 p.m. on our own Jacobson Field. Meanwhile, during the day, students will show off their creativity with class floats illustrating this year's theme, A Night Away from Home. The floats, accompanied by our award-winning band students, will be paraded down 4th Street through downtown Beloit, along with representation from many sports teams and activity groups. Everyone is invited to the parade, which starts at around 1:30 p.m. on Friday, October 2nd. We are looking forward to another ribbon-cutting event, this time at our new school, Fruzen Intermediate, on Sunday, September 27th, starting at 1 p.m. Next month, we will have an open house for the school's Barbara Hickman Fine Arts Center set for Wednesday, October 21st. Each event will feature a short program, tours, and refreshments. These events are posted on our website calendar at beloitschools.net. This includes the September announcements.
Thank you, Lori. Melissa, could you please join us tonight for tonight's recognitions?
Good evening. We are resuming our staff recognitions for the year, and we are starting with Aldrich, so we're featuring two of our outstanding teachers. So I'm going to ask our Aldrich principal, Mark Smullen, to come up with his two teachers, Dolly Phillips and Lisa Torres.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to be here and have the opportunity to do this tonight. We have two excellent distinguished teachers I want to introduce. First, we are pleased to recognize our ESL teacher, Miss Lisa Torres, for her role as Aldrich's ambassador, professional development leader, and for going the extra mile. In Ms. Torres' class, she greets these students every day, provides a welcoming and caring environment, and has high expectations for all students. Her students respond well with good grades, are engaged in her class and in school, and perform well on the tests. She is one of the few adults at Aldrich who can speak Spanish, and she bridges the gap for our Latino community by interpreting for parents, explaining homework, and students' progress. Beginning this summer and through September, Ms. Torres went the extra mile by making sure each ESL student was properly scheduled so they receive additional classroom support. And just last week, Ms. Torres led a staff development session with our teachers, providing them with effective teaching strategies to use in their classroom. We're a better school because of Ms. Torres, and we thank her. So let's please, big round of applause for Ms. Torres. Yep.
Okay, that was a little overwhelming for me because I'm a shy person by nature, and I'm the kind of person that it's difficult for me to hear so many compliments, especially coming from your principal, and thank you for smiling now. I'm deeply honored to receive this recognition, one that I do not take lightly. I would like to thank the administrators of Aldrich Middle School, Miss Clarity Brown and Mr. Mark Schmullen for this nomination and the support throughout the year, the continued support. Also, my colleagues, I cannot forget my colleagues, who ensure academic excellence is the norm. It is my sincere desire to serve the families and students of Beloit, of the Beloit community, for years to come. I am proud to be a teacher in the school district of Beloit. When people ask me, where do you teach? And I say Beloit, the only reason why I do not live here is because my parents are older and they need me. They are 83 years old, but they say you shop in Beloit, you almost live there, you go to the grocery stores, and also what I really like, my number one reason for showing up to work, and I don't know if I should be telling you this, since I'm on TV, is that the children, they're wonderful. They are so wonderful. When I come into the building, Some of them call me Mrs. Torres. And I smile. Some of them call me, which I prefer, and they know this, Mama, which in Spanish is mother. Other children call me Mama. And even some kids call me their Mexican mama. Okay? And I was at this Chinese restaurant with this little girl that is so shy. She is an ESL, an English second language learner, a level 1, a newcomer to our building. She is fitting in. The other children love her. She's learning English. She is one of my top students. I went to eat to her restaurant before I came to this meeting. And she says, Mexican Mama, why are you staying so late? You have Stephanie. And I said, I'm going to receive an acknowledgement from the board. She says, you will do fine. Just be yourself. So then I left her a tip, a little tip, an extra tip for some ice cream because my parents have a restaurant. And some of you know my father. His name is, and I know you've been there, Hernandez, Mr. Hernandez, Rafael Senor, yes. In Delavan, a small restaurant. Yes, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Baskin, and all of you people here.
Pay attention, everybody.
Okay.
This is what I talked about in paragraph 4.
And,
right here.
okay. And when I left the tip for the ice cream, I left an extra tip, and I told the 3 children at the table, I love to see you every day, so ready to work. And I remember when I was working at the restaurant, customers would leave me a tip. And they ran out the door and said, Mexican Mama, I can't take all your money. I can't take your money. And they came and gave it to me. And I said, okay, you bring me a donut tomorrow. So we made a deal. And that's all I have to say. And now I feel better. Thank you.
It's like it every day. Can't deny her passion.
And that's why he was
It's better coming from her, right? All right. So, Dolly, your mom or dad doesn't own a restaurant, do they? No. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, that's all right. So we're also pleased to share our art teacher. She's new to our district. This is her 2nd year. Her name is Dolly Phillips. Every student in her class will experience a caring, welcoming environment, supportive of each child's creativity and expression as they work on their art projects. Students thrive in her class because Ms. Phillips is a positive, caring teacher who is concerned with each of her students. In a short time, she's only in her 2nd year, Ms. Phillips has displayed excellence in her classroom using her innovative technological practices in digital art. Students used a program called Adobe Photoshop that was once used at the high school, and they used their iPads and green screens to create artistic images and creative expressions often seen in magazines, advertisements, and galleries. She's fascinating, she's very technological, she's humorous, she's genuine, she's caring. And when we had a staff member leave our school last week unexpectedly, Ms. Phillips demonstrated teamwork by taking a reading intervention class that we had to pick up. She's a class act, and we're proud to have her on our team. So please welcome Miss Dolly Phillips.
Well, I also want to say thank you, and Ms. Torres is right. It's kind of a lot to hear that kind of stuff about what you do at work. It's a good honor. Thank you very much. I'm not going to say as much as Ms. Torres did because I think that she said quite a bit, so just thank you very much.
I would like to personally, one more thing, address someone on the board that I owe a lot to. I am here because of him. This man was very influential in my life. I am a proud graduate of UW Whitewater. Dr. Dennis Baskin, Dr. Roger Pulliam, Dr. Ernest Blandon, who is now a superintendent. Okay, I am thanking Dr. Dennis Baskin with all my heart. And this is sincere. I am not nervous about this because I owe a lot to this gentleman.
Before you guys go, we have certificates of appreciation for you guys in recognition of professionalism, obvious caring, leadership and learning, and dedication to the education and well-being of the students of the School District of Beloit, plus the I Make a Difference pin.
Go Aldrich!
Oh, Congratulations, Ms. Torres.
Thank you. And if you see me riding around in a taco truck, that's me. I'm going to bring it to Aldridge.
Thank you, Melissa. And I just want to say, I think that as a parent of a student who went through Aldridge, I'm very remiss that neither of my children had the opportunity to have either you, Ms. Torres, or you, Ms. Phillips, as educators, because the energy you just brought here this evening, I would have loved to have in my children's classroom. And although, Ms. Torres, I don't know you as well as I did get to meet Ms. Phillips after convocation for a while, I definitely look forward to getting to know you better, and I want to thank you both and Mr. Smullen for making us Beloit proud and for doing all that you do for our students, not only at Aldridge, but for the district as a whole. So thank you to all three of you so very much. Oh, all right. And Ms. Torres, we'd like you back every month for positive affirmation. Thank you so much. All right, folks, we're at the...
We're thinking about you, Mr. Smalley.
We feel the love. With that, folks, we're at the point on the agenda for citizens or delegations that would like to speak of area of interest that are not on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone in tonight's audience that would like to speak to anything that is not posted on tonight's agenda? If so, I'd ask that you would raise yourself and move towards the podium. Again, is there anybody within us this evening that would like to speak to any area or interest that is not posted on tonight's agenda? I see some elbow poking and some nudging, but I don't see anybody moving. So is there anyone who'd like to speak to any item not on tonight's agenda? Seeing no one, let's move forward then with superintendent's reports to the board. Dr. Johnson, please.
Thank you. I'm going to start with a very brief opening of school report, which I will say we're open. And it was a very smooth opening in talking with principals and teachers throughout the district. I think board members who talk to your neighbors and friends and faculty will find that overall it was a very smooth opening with little to no hiccups, almost miraculous. So we're very thankful for that. I want to thank some individuals, partners rather, who have made it that. And the first one is Aramark. As we know, our frozen kitchen was not complete on day one, but everybody got fed and has been very happy. I've surveyed the lunchroom. The students are happy and pleased with the satellite service they received. So Aramark did an excellent job of adjusting as we get ready to have the grand opening this coming Sunday. But they, as a partner, as always, rose to the occasion. TC Networks, who handles our technology, has done an excellent job. There's always those last-minute beginning of the year rushes for getting things installed and taken down and moved and connected, and they've done an excellent job, as well as ABM, who handles our custodial and maintenance services, very responsive to our needs. And I'd be completely remiss if I would leave Durham School Services out. We've obviously made transportation changes as we've gone to 4 intermediate schools, and we've changed the miles and those types of things in the past couple of years. And Dan Sutherland and his staff at Durham are absolutely fantastic to work with. And I can tell you that not one single bus issue crossed my desk. I don't think any superintendent in history could say that at the beginning of a school year. And that is truly a testament to Dan and the work that he's done with Janelle and company over there. So that kind of moves on to another key issue of opening of school, and that's personnel. We hired just about 99.9% of our staff, and they were in classrooms and in buildings on day one. And why am I saying that? It seems consequential that you would have your staff hired on day one, but I read the stories, and I just read of a school board that just last night was debating and deliberating what to do in a Wisconsin town because of XYZ positions that they cannot fill. For us to fill all of our positions for the most part on day one, and especially hard to fill positions, is a testament to Beloit and why people want to come here. And I truly have empathy for my colleagues who are struggling and boards that are struggling with staffing their districts. I think it points to our competitiveness and our need to remain competitive as we recruit and retain. That being said, how do we recruit and retain? We look at our staff, who's coming to us and why they're staying with us and why they're leaving us. Today, actually, a new staff survey from a company called School Perceptions was released to our staff, as well as our parents and families. So we will be gaining new insights into our stakeholders' views of our schools and why they stay, what they like, what they don't like. I personally had the opportunity to take the survey today, and I will say it's by far the most comprehensive survey we've given in the school district of Beloit ever. And while any survey has room for improvement, I'm very excited, as I know John Acom is, about getting the results of this survey, as it's been a topic we've talked about for some time to come. And I guess I would finish, the real point of my report tonight is to allow Dr. Williams, our new Assistant Superintendent of Operations, Administration, and Equity, and Mr. Bonds, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, and Technology, to introduce themselves briefly. But I will say, where are we going this year? What types of things we'll be tackling? And quite honestly, it's kind of a loaded question. School districts and school administrators of all levels, you deal with a million different things and directions that you're going. So let's encapsulate it into some really big picture items that I could sit here at the end of this school year or 1 September from now and say on the screen, put on the screen measurable data, measurable quantitative and qualitative things that we can say as an administration in a district that school board, this is what we have accomplished and done. And they fall into a few key areas. The first one is, and I've made no secret about this, we have got to make our efforts in early 4-year-old kindergarten in first grade, with regards especially to literacy efforts, a double down approach. You may have read in the Beloit Daily News about our creative curriculum that has been introduced in 4K. One of the things that I've talked about for several years is when we go to full day 4K, what changed? And there were things that changed, but I think we can do more. And so Mr. Bonds and his department are challenged with really taking a look at what's happening 4K through first grade, especially with literacy, because we know from research that that is a critical stage. And if we lose them in first grade, if we lose them even further down the road in third grade, they will never have a prayer when they get to high school and for graduation. We've got to focus our efforts there. And I had a conversation with a community member recently, and their initial reaction to me was, come on, kindergarten? And my response was, come on, kindergarten. This is huge for our district. If we're going to focus our efforts at a grade level or grade bands, it is at those very primary early years. The second major issue that we should be able to come back here in a year and focus on is recruitment and retention of a diversified staff, teaching faculty, secretarial staff, you name it. We should be able to come back here in a year and have measurable results quantitatively and qualitatively. And I know that Dr. Williams and Mr. Kabelka and staff are already working on several initiatives to do just that. It is important to me that we're sitting here in a year while other districts may be struggling to staff their districts, that we can say we are fully staffed and that we're offering competitive salaries and benefits for our highly qualified staff, and that we are doing things innovatively for our staff to recruit and retain them. And I'm going to say one publicly now that is very near and dear to my heart. I don't know if it'll work, but it's definitely something that we have talked about as a cabinet to explore, and that is daycare. What would it be if the Beloit School District could provide daycare for their employees? We know that our demographic of teachers is changing. And what would that mean to have a discounted daycare opportunity for your employees? I can't make that promise tonight, but I can make the promise that we will explore that diligently in other efforts to recruit and retain our staff and make them want to stay and work in Beloit. I think the other huge item, and these are just the big three that come to mind, is anything and everything that deals with truancy, attendance, code of conduct, expulsion, suspension, all of those things that fall under the realm of student services. And Mrs. Pels is the Executive Director of Student Services, and Dr. Williams especially, those conversations that have begun, that will continue to grow with community stakeholders, with results from our Diversity Ad Hoc Committee coming forth. Those are the types of things that a year from now, we should be able to sit here and say that appreciably there are differences in the way we operate with regards to suspensions and expulsions and how we combat truancy. Will we be perfect? No. But we will be able to sit here and say that we operate differently, and we operate from different premises. philosophical premises and challenge ourselves to think differently about these things. Earlier tonight in the special board meeting, I think board members, myself, others, we have been challenged to think differently about something like suspensions, which is so ingrained in our mind what that looks like, but it doesn't have to look the way we think it looks. And I think that the willing suspension of disbelief that I'd ask the board and others to come along on this journey for the next year will yield some really good results as a result of good teamwork from your cabinet, from your entire district administration, and from all the staff in the district. So early learning, recruitment and retention, and truancy, code of conduct, and all things student services. The big three that this board, I would ask, if you're so willing, hold me accountable for in a year. Hold me and my cabinet accountable for all of those items in a year, and there's so much more, but that's kind of my general overview. So we're open, we're good, we have new ideas, we have great energy and momentum, and I look forward to a good year. And with that, I would ask that Dr. Williams and Mr. Bonds, whoever so chooses to go first, come forward. And I see Mr. Bonds is coming to the podium. Welcome.
Would you like me to stand at the podium?
That would be great.
Good. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for this opportunity. I mean, it is truly a pleasure to be here to work for the School District of Beloit. It's been a truly fun and fantastic 7 days. So I've been here a full 7 days, and it's been a ride already. But you know what I'm really in earnest impressed about is the community. This community should be really proud of the schools that your children attend. Those buildings are well done. Those additions look incredible, and the energy you saw from Mrs. Phelps and Mrs. Torres, that's exactly what I experienced as I walked around the schools and visited over the last 7 days. It's really palpable. You can really feel it. A little bit about me. I am the proud father of two girls, Haley and Tony, who I just truly love and adore. Something about me educationally, that's okay. I was going to use a PowerPoint. I'll pass on the PowerPoint. That's okay. A little about me educationally. I am a Wisconsinite, born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I attended Milwaukee Public Schools, K-12. I attended Morris Brown College, where I received my bachelor's in science. After that, I pursued my degree at UW-Milwaukee, where I received my master's, and I'm currently in my dissertation writing phase for my doctorate at Edgewood College. So I'm really looking forward to getting that dissertation completed in May. Professionally, I started my career off at Rufus King High School, where I taught for 5 years, teaching various science courses. I then received an assistant principalship at Wauwatosa West, where I served for 4 great years in Wauwatosa. Then I also received a principalship in Wauwatosa for 10 years, where I was the elementary school principal at Washington Elementary School. My last 2 years were in the capacity of the director of elementary education for the Sun Prairie Area School District, where I oversaw all curriculum K-5. I also oversaw our gifted and talented programming, K-12, and our Title I programming, K-12 as well. And now I'm here, and I'm really, truly excited to be a part of the Beloit School community. I've had an opportunity to get to know a lot of community members in a short, brief time. Of course, like many people, I have met Mrs. Hickman along the way, educator and community leader. I've also had a chance to visit the Boys and Girls Club, where I met David Wilson. And I've met a number of other individuals at the various committees that we have attended so far, including the NAACP meeting on Monday. So it's been a packed 7 days where I've had the opportunity to get to know a lot of individuals and get to really have a lot of discussions with my directors and other teachers. And I'm looking forward to joining forces with all of us to make things truly incredible for our students here. I think there's a lot of potential here. So let's capitalize on that. Let's collaborate, and let's do good things for kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have only a tiny minute with 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, I can't refuse it. I didn't seek it, I didn't choose it, but I will suffer if I lose it. Give account for it if I abuse it. It's just a tiny little minute, but eternity lies within it. I want to thank the school board, Dr. Johnson, and this community for allowing me to serve as the Assistant Superintendent of Operations, Equity, and Administration for the School District of Beloit. I truly appreciate this great opportunity. My background, I bring you greetings from a little small town called Abbeville, Mississippi, right outside of Oxford, known as the last county of the town in the nation that still pick cotton by hand. Went to school at a small school called Rush College, historically black college in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Finished up my master's degree at Marion College, finished my doctorate at UWM. Started teaching at a little small school called Garland. I've worked at every level within the school district. I started off as a teacher, elementary school principal, middle school principal, and for the past few years I've served as the turnaround principal for Milwaukee Public Schools prior to assuming this position here as the assistant superintendent. I've served in the military for over 25 years. I've served in Operation Iraqi Freedom when the war first started, and I just returned from a tour over in Afghanistan about 2 months ago. This is what I love to do. I love educating kids, and I love serving our nation. I want to say thank you. I look forward to working with this community. I've already been around to every school probably 3 or 4 times. I've been to several places within the community. We are not divorced from what goes on inside of our school. Our goal, one of our main goals, is to bridge the gap between what goes on in our school and in our community to build a brighter future for our students. So together we can, together we will. Thank you all very much.
I'd like to officially welcome them to the Beloit community and to our greater public and viewing public. It's a pleasure to have them here. They have jumped in full force, and I again want to reiterate for all of us, measure us in a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson, and to our new administrative staff and to our administration as a whole. I can't say how excited we are as a Board of Education to welcome you to our team. I'd be remiss if I don't say go Army. To our Navy comrade out there, we acknowledge you. But in all seriousness, we're doing great things. Dr. Johnson did say measure us in a year, and I empower the community, I empower administration, I empower our staff, I empower our students to look at where we are today, to know where you want to go, to dream big, and to measure us in a year. And not only will you be impressed, but I think this Board of Education will be amazed by where we're going. We have 2 outstanding individuals that have joined our administrative team. We have outstanding individuals who have joined our staff. We have outstanding individuals on our board. We have an outstanding individual as our superintendent. We're only going up from here, folks. We've been Beloit proud. We shall be even prouder. And I feel it, I know it, and I think you heard it this evening. You saw it with Ms. Torres, you saw it with Ms. Phillips, you saw it with Mr. Smullen. As smug as he may be, we're going in the right direction. We feel it, we know it, we empower it, we want it, we shall achieve it. So, welcome to both of you. And I can only say watch where we're going. It's exciting times, so thank you both. With that, folks, we are at the point on our agenda where we are at reports to the board. And this evening, we have 2 new student board members that shall report as the student board member report. So I hand it over to Spencer and Sharif for this month's installation of the student board member report.
Hello. You guys hear me? My name is Spencer Listerby, and I attend Beloit Memorial, and I want to say how grateful I am to be on this board and to get this experience. And I also want to thank my principal for choosing us. Like, it really means a lot to us. I'm also senior class officer. I'm secretary, so I hope to see you guys at the game and the parade. Hopefully we'll get this win against Madison East. And yeah, that's it.
Hello all, I am Sharif Atlas. I also go to Beloit Memorial, but you knew that. I am also a senior class president as well, so it is truly an honor to be on this board. You know, I've grew up in the Beloit system from K all the way to my senior year in 12th grade. It's been a long ride, it's been a fun ride, and it's finally in, and I am also forever grateful to be chosen to be on this here board. But what I have to report on are some events for this month. This week we have, I believe it's the UW system, college fair actually, on this Thursday from 9 to about 10 o'clock. And after that, we also have another excellent event, a career fair from surrounding jobs in the local area. And my stance as president was I wanted to bring more career options to students whose first step, immediate step, will not be college. They want to go right into the workforce. You know, I plan on working with our newest employee staff member, Ms. Helis. She is a head of the career planning committee over Beloit Memorial. So I'm excited about that. Like Dr. Johnson said, rate us in a year, rate us in 6 months. I think we'll make a substantial leap. So yeah, that's what I wanted to report on.
Shannon, can I
Absolutely, Doc.
I just want to acknowledge the principal, Dr. Salzman, for picking 2 excellent students. I happen to know both of their parents. They come from good stock. Ms. Listenby and Mr. Atlas. I know that Mr. Atlas makes very good decisions because you're going to UW Whitewater, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I have an opportunity to work on them on this end.
John Aiken, please.
I also would like to welcome you guys on board. We're really happy that you're here. And I want to urge you too, you're going to get all the agendas and all the minutes and all that kind of stuff in your email. And feel very free to attend meetings other than this board meeting. If you want to come to a special board meeting to hear what we do there, please do. If you want to attend a committee meeting, I'm chair of the curriculum committee. You're always welcome at the curriculum committee meeting, and you're equally welcome at the finance committee and the policy committee meetings. So take advantage of it and cherry pick what sounds interesting and have a good time and make it a great year.
So as our new board members, it's my privilege, and this will typically come from John Winkleman, or it has in the past, but the board will look at the 2 of you to ask what are the hot topics in the district. And so I know with homecoming around the corner, I have a few that I'd like to address, but first I'd like to ask both of you, are there any hot topics that you're embodying from the student body that you'd like to bring forward to the board or discuss at this point, or should we give you a pass this month since it's your first month?
Well, considering the fact that it's still in development. We are in third week of school, so I think we got off to a great start. Actually, attendance looks nice. Dr. Williams and I are also brainstorming new ideas about the truancy matter. So it's all coming along perfectly well, if you ask me.
And Spencer?
With the district going paperless, I would have to say it's a little iffy, but I think it'll be a good transition.
Outstanding. Thank you both for your candor. Thank you both for willing to serve. Now, if I can make it real for a moment. So I've had an opportunity to see myself out on Beloit Turtles as a cow. I gotta let you know, I'd like to be a mermaid or a cat. So to your senior class representatives, and with homecoming week coming up, please, please, please make good decisions. I know there's some things in the works. Let's stay outside of the school and let's do great things. Homecoming week's a great week, but at the end of the day, I want to see everyone graduating. So I appreciate both of you. Fun is fun. Really, I love cats. I like mermaids. It's going to be a great week. So more than anything, thank you for serving. And if there are hot topics, and as you've heard from other board members, please feel free to come to the board with any questions, concerns, or the hot topics, because the student body voice is instrumental in what we do here each and every day. So, oh, and a side note, I have great pictures of you guys at first grade, kindergarten, second grade, backyard, inside the house, in costume. So keep that in mind as I represent the other animals in the barnyard, that there's great opportunities for all the student body as well, and fair play is in play. So I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Welcome, and and we're gonna have a great year. With that, let's move forward to committee reports. First up, we have Finance, Transportation, and Property Committee with John Winkleman, please.
I'm not sure how I'm supposed to follow that, so I think I'm just going to leave it alone and go from there, other than to say, you know, paperless, we talk about that as a board, and some of us struggle equally as well, right? Michelle tries to keep us going in the paperless world, so we're getting there. Finance, Transportation, and Property Committee met on September 8th. And we had a good meeting. We talked about a number of projects. Let's start with other post-employment benefits, otherwise known as OPEB. We put these benefits aside for retirees and help pay for the benefits that we have promised them. And so every year we get an annual report on how they have been invested and how they are doing. And that's what we received from them. And the answer was good news, right? Even though markets go up and down and they get invested in a variety of things, we've done well. Not overly well, but well. And but it was a great report, and we're moving in the right direction for our retirees. So it's an important piece to the puzzle. We had a great report about Inspire and Safe Schools Healthy Grant fiscal update, and so we learned about carryover, which for those of us that hear about carryover, what does that mean? It means there's money that we're going to be able to spend that's carrying over from last year. Awesome, right? So, because sometimes it goes away. In this case, we get to keep it and keep moving within these grants. So that's an awesome opportunity. And we heard about a lot of the good things that were happening in the grants due to the funds that are there. So it was a wonderful report. Janelle came back to us and talked about Consolidated Student Travel Management Services, and I think that's on our agenda tonight, right? Again, it's an opportunity to consolidate the services, how we manage travel within the district, and thanks to Janelle and negotiations that have gone back and forth, I think we've reached a point where we have a reasonable contract that starts us off, and it still allows for some change if we can see some dramatic savings that they weren't predicting and others can do. So I think there's kind of the best of both worlds. It's not perfect. The one thing that as a board member, I know I'll speak for myself, I appreciate is that it does provide some pretty solid insurance, some solid travel that lets us sleep at night while people are out on the road. And that was always kind of back and forth, and now we have a pretty good sense of what that's going to be. So that'll come before us tonight. We talked about a request for people to do some voluntary insurance benefits. We're changing our insurances to an HSA, right? Am I right letters? Yep, HSA. And this was an opportunity for people to buy in some voluntary insurance options to help cover some critical care. And it's totally voluntary, so it doesn't cost us anything other than the opportunity to offer that service. Janelle reviewed the proposed budget for 15-16. It's our first pass at budget. And so it has lots of unknowns still, including how many students do we have in the district. And that's going to come. But that's in preparation for October is really budget month for us. So we will work to solidify budget as we get through October. But a lot of things are in play right now. And the good work of Tom and the staff and the rest of the folks have really made this budget start to come together so we can do that. And that'll be published as well in the paper so people can see kind of what we're proposing. We did some final budget adjustments, which is normal for us. Every year we do that, or every so often we do that as budgets get adjusted. So for example, we get grant money. We get a grant that was unanticipated. We need to account for that in the current budget. And then we did a waiver of rental fees for the Phantom Regiment, and that was our meeting.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions or concerns for John? I see John Acom just getting ready to give his report. Seeing none, John Acom with curriculum, please. Curriculum and instruction.
Okay, the Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on September the 8th, and the principal thing that we focused on that was a little bit different from the normal routine is the newly enacted Act 55, which the state legislature passed, which requires, as graduation requirements, starting with the class of 2017, so you guys don't have to worry about it, this requires that the citizenship test be taken and passed as a graduation requirement. So we wanted to look at this now and see what we needed to do to get ready for it. And the news is real good as far as getting ready for it is concerned, because a very careful examination of our curriculum showed essentially that all the stuff that the students needed to know to pass this is already embedded in our curriculum. So that's very good. We don't have to do or teach anything additional, new, or different. There are, however, no funds available, being made available for the administration of this test. The school must keep track of who takes the test, what the test scores are, whether or not they've passed. We must grade the tests. We must make accommodations for those who want to retake the test. You will be allowed to retake the test as many times as it takes to pass the thing. Unlimited opportunities. And in addition to that, we must procure the test or design them ourselves. Chances are we'll buy something off the shelf, including tests in a foreign language for pupils deemed limited English proficient. And then we'll need, of course, to grade those as well. It has struck the school board that this is one more unfunded mandate, one more burden on our record keeping, one more burden on our teachers to administer these tests to each and every kid prior to graduation and so on. And so we're taking a recommendation to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards suggesting that these are unfunded mandates, and suggesting that the appropriate level for decision making about these kinds of matters is the local school board, and asking that the legislation be amended in order to allow each school district to make its own determination as to whether or not to administer this test and make it a graduation requirement. We'll see how that effort goes. That meeting takes place in January, so it's a little early for that. Other than that, the rest of the meeting had to do with reviewing our grants and so on. And as those of you who have heard me before speaking in this report, I'm always looking for more grants, and we will continue to do so. We'll continue to come up with suggestions, and we'll continue to urge each and every person in our audience, both present and on television, if you know about any grant opportunities, make sure we know about it too, because we want to go get them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for John? Seeing none, let's move forward with Nora for personnel and policy, please.
The Personnel and Policy Committee met on August 25th to approve personnel recommendations prior to the business meeting. And then we also met as a committee on September 8th with a variety of items on our agenda, which includes, we had a request for increase in staff for special education over at Hackett, and we voted to approve the addition of that FTE over at Hackett. We also discussed the need of FTE social worker, and the social worker, I'm just going to read what that position is, and it says that this position will serve the Beloit Learning Academy as well as assisting efforts in the district-wide with truancy. You've heard a few people talk about truancy this evening, and this particular position will help to address the issue we have with truancy. From there, we had a couple of policies for first reading and a couple of policies for second reading. Our first policies for first reading include the temporary administrative arrangements, and that's policy 270. In that policy, we basically just updated it with the titles of staff that are already here. Every once in a while, we need to update policies because of positions and their titles change, and that's what this policy change is about. We also have a first reading for policy 529.1, which recognizes the holidays. And basically with that particular policy, there's only a couple of changes, minor changes, such as the word may was inserted instead of the word shall. So in order to continually update our policies, we need to be on record to say that we are looking at policies, and that sounds like a minor change, but for litigation reasons, we want to make sure that it's on record that we have a plan to move forward with updating policies, even if they're minor, with 1 or 2 words changed. The next policy that we moved forward to the full board was policy 133, Rule 1, and that's the board appointment procedures. When we went through the process of interviewing possible candidates for the school board, such as Lori had to go through, we realized that there were some updates that needed to be done, so we went through that process, and tonight we will be voting on the on this policy as a second reading. Another second reading policy is policy 470, student fees, fines, and charges, as well as policy 470, Rule 1, guidelines regarding student fees, fines, and charges. And we've had quite a few discussions on this particular policy. It's come forward a couple of times, I would say within the last couple of years, but the bottom line is there are some forms that have changed, and so that's really a form that has changed, and that's really the reason why we're looking at it again. And also, we have learned that by limiting the fees, we're really saving the district money because of eliminating the staff having to make several calls or billing. And the bottom line is, if there is a fee that's owed at graduation, then we will be allowing students to still graduate. But you may hear some discussion on that tonight. Then we again passed the personnel recommendations. There are lots of changes this time of the year with personnel coming and going, retiring and relocating, and so every meeting that we have a list that's provided to us that we pass on to the full board for approval, which will be coming later this evening as well. I want to thank Mr. Acom for providing information, legislative updates, and he's done a great job bringing information our way. Thank you. This last meeting, he brought a couple of items our way, and one example is a Senate bill where it is proposing that board members serve as coaches and volunteers, and this particular bill is being supported by our Wisconsin Association of School Board Members. He also shared that there was going to be a presentation at the Youth Workforce Readiness Committee, which Dr. Johnson did go to and speak on our behalf, and I believe we were the only school district in the state of Wisconsin that was asked to come forward to share information. So thank you for representing our district, Dr. Johnson. And then Mr. Acom also shared with us that there's some refinement on the achievement gap, and that kind of goes into the workforce readiness discussions. For future discussions in our committee, we will be, it was recommended that we should meet with the various employee groups on a regular basis to see what maybe some of their needs are. And then, of course, we're going to move forward in looking at policies that need to be updated, and some of those policies maybe haven't even been looked at for 20 years. I will 20 years, yes. I will say that, because I haven't said this for a long time, there are 890 policies that are based on our state statutes, and sometimes those statutes change. Sometimes our practices and procedures within our district change, and they change ever so slightly that when we look at a policy, we then realize that, gee, there's been a change. So that's what our Policy and Personnel Committee does, and that's my report.
Thank you, Nora. Lots of hard work. I see John.
Just
had-
only a comment, and thank you to Nora for good hard work, and also keep the encouragement up to keep removing a policy every so often so we can get under the 800 number, right? We'll set a target for what we can do. maybe,
89
all right?
more to
So-
go.
And John is on our committee, so help us.
Yes. So thank you to all the hard work of all the committees. We are now at the point on the agenda where we're at the consent list. At this point, I would entertain a motion to move forward the consent list for this evening.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Aye. And those opposed? Motion carries. We're now at Consolidated Student Travel Management Services, pages 29 through 59 in the board packet.
Move approval.
Discussion? We've had a lot of discussion at committee level. Is there any discussion this evening? Nora?
I just would like to comment, thank you, Janelle, for, and the administration for taking a hard look at this. I know I've had some comments from community members in with concerns on this particular item, and I think we've worked out the kinks again. Thank you, too, for your committee, and I'm really pleased that we can move forward with this.
Thank you, Nora. And we did hear from educators as well as community members with concerns and questions. And the board tabled this. We addressed those. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you to our partners in this endeavor. And I think that what we have in front of us is really a conglomerate of all of those concerns rolled up and addressed. So seeing no further discussion, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We're at voluntary benefits, cancer, accident, and critical care, please.
Move approval.
Again, this is voluntary. This is an additional benefit for our employees. It is optional. It is something that is not required, but is merely an opportunity for our staff to engage in additional benefits that we know are out there, and we wanted to empower them the opportunity to engage those if they so desire. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Final budget adjustments for 2014-2015, please.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed?
Thanks to the good work for Janelle and company.
Thank you,
Always.
John. Absolutely. Moving on to additional 1.0 or 1 FTE social worker. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Dr. Mason?
Want to go on the record and say that I'm very glad to see this. Mr. Fred Atlas has done good work there. The number of students he's working with has put him at a disadvantage, and I'm glad that we've recognized that and we're getting him the assistance he needs to move that forward.
Thank you. Are there others? Seeing none?
100% agree.
I hear agreement from board members. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And that agreement is shown with the universal acknowledgement and passing of that FTE. Policy 270, temporary administrative arrangements for first reading, please.
Move approval.
Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Policy 529.1, recognized holidays for first reading.
Move approval.
Discussion?
Yes.
John Acom, please.
I had asked in committee, the last sentence under recognized holidays read, in order to receive holiday pay, all employees shall work the day before and after the holiday unless on approved leave. And that was struck. I guess I was curious as to why it was struck. Organizations that I've worked with typically at the past have had a problem with mass exodus creating longer weekends and so on with the days before and the days after holidays. It's created sometimes difficulties. What this doesn't take away the opportunity for employees to take that day off, but what it does, it requires them to get approval to do so, so that management can have some hold on this. This doesn't so much apply to teachers because teachers pretty much need to be there when class is going on, but it does apply to other workers, administrators and secretaries and others who work on an hourly basis and don't have to face a classroom on a daily basis. So I would like to suggest, in fact, I'll make it a motion, to leave that last sentence in there as is.
Thank you, John. Are you making that as a friendly motion or as an unfriendly
Yeah, it's as
motion?
friendly as friendly can be.
Okay, so I would ask at this point, because I see Todd has approached the podium, and I'd love to hear what he has to say, but at this point, since you've made it into a friendly motion, I would have to ask the maker and the secondary of the motion, are you amenable to the motion as being made?
This is first reading.
This is first reading, absolutely.
Say yes.
So again, let me reiterate, the maker of the motion and the seconder of the motion, are you amenable to the friendly motion as being made? Otherwise, we would have to go unfriendly, we would vote upon that, then we would be able to hear from Mr. Kabelka as to the rationale for having it removed, and then it would come back through committee for second reading, and we can have this conversation all over again.
I'll second for Brother Acom.
So, Michelle, who was the maker and the seconder on that motion? All right, so I know that Baskin is in favor. Ms. Gard, would you be in favor of the friendly motion as amended?
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
So, it is being accepted as a friendly amendment. Therefore,
right.
Mr.
Really
Kabelka,
friendly.
could we hear from you as to why this motion, or why this change has been presented within policy?
Yes, the reason why we crossed it off was this was the holdover from the pre-Act 10 days when we had the custodial unit. They had a holiday pay actually bargained into their contract, but since they no longer are part of the enterprise, are now ABM, we have no need for this anymore because we don't have secretaries and we don't have paras that work in holiday pay. We simply don't offer it anymore.
Oh.
So it's not applicable for us?
Not applicable.
So, well, with the friendly motion,
right.
that's been made, we're striking this, but
All right,
I would empower the committee to look at where we are today, where we are with statute, and what makes the best sense for the district, and bring that back for second reading. Would you be amenable to that, Mr. Acom?
Yeah, I am. I'm perfectly willing to be friendly to the fact that if we don't need it, it probably doesn't need to be there. I'm okay with that.
Outstanding, I appreciate it, because I love your rationale, I get where you're coming from, but we're in today's days, so.
We certainly are.
We have to get up with it, I guess, and run with it. So, with that being said, Mr. Kabelka, thank you. It is being brought forward to the full board now as friendly amended, with the understanding that the committee will look at where we are today, where statute is, and bring back to the full board for second reading what's most applicable for the district. With that being said, I see no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. We are now at Policy 133, Rule 1, Board Appointment Procedures for second reading.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? This is for second reading. Seeing none, great effort done by the committee and as the board as a whole. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We're at Policy 470, Student Fees, Fines, and Charges, and 470, Rule 1, regarding guidelines regarding student fees, fines, and charges for second reading.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? This is for second reading. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? We are now at personnel recommendations. I would refer the board to look at Exhibit A with today's date. Let me get to it, please. So it's Exhibit A dated today. We do have an updated one in front of us this evening. I do have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion does carry. We're at now items for discussion. Are there any items of interest for consideration at future board meetings that has not previously been presented to the board? Nora, and then John, please.
Because it's at the beginning of a new school year, I'm just, I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about our athletic code and how it's going into the new school year, and, you know, how students are doing. I don't know how you want to take that, but some sort of a report, maybe. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. And John Winkelman, please.
Thank you, Shannon. So I had an opportunity to attend part of the conference last Friday called the city, the college, the community, right? The whole connection group. And first of all, kudos to Dr. Johnson. He did a marvelous job presenting for the school district. And this was a crowd that wasn't just college people, it was alums and community and all kinds of people. So really wonderful. But it got me to thinking about how often we collaborate, right? So again, the theme of the conference is what's good for Beloit is good for all of us, right? How do we expand that? How do we do this together? Clearly, Dr. Johnson pointed to the places we do it together. I would be interested in maybe just a few moments at a meeting to remind the board about all the different collaborations we have, right? Because I think we forget those. We need to nurture those. They don't continue just on their own. And we can help nurture just as other people can help nurture. So, and there's a lot of them, and if we're going to be successful, they are important for us. So if that could come back to us at some point, I think it would be really helpful, and I would welcome kind of being reminded of all the times, all the pieces where we connect to each other.
Thank you, John. And we had one of those earlier this evening. And I think that is a great point that we need to reflect upon those and build upon those, because we can only be successful with those that are in it to win it for us. Dr. Baskin.
I want to piggyback on Nora. The athletics, the sports, I received a couple of calls. I want to look at the numbers as to the number of coaches we have at the various sports, football, basketball, because several people called, and I think they referenced that there were some more coaches hired under football versus basketball, and they were bothered by that. And I mean, I don't know the information, so I would like that information before I respond back to the to my constituent on that. Okay.
Good question. Thank you. Any others? Seeing none, we are now at announcements of future board meeting dates. We will have our committee meetings October the 13th, and that will include finance, transportation, and property, curriculum and instruction, and policy and personnel. And this evening, in our previous meeting, the board did determine that we shall be meeting also on October the 8th at 5:30 p.m. at Morgan Elementary School to discuss the future of Morgan, the future of COLAC, and the future of all buildings that are currently not being utilized by the school district of Beloit and what we shall do with those. That will be listed as a listening session, and we encourage all the public to come out and let us know your thoughts, because ultimately those are your buildings that we are making decisions upon. Our next televised business meeting will be here in this room at October the 27th at 7 p.m. And unless I see any objections at this point, we shall be adjourned. Seeing none, folks, we are adjourned, and I thank you and have an outstanding month. Thank you.